So I was mentioning all the work that had been done. So saying that Bertrand had to import all the work items, and he will give us an update on that. I had to create a discourse forum, and I will give you an update on what I did actually. And there is the status on the GitHub migration. GitHub migration is from Bertrand, from myself, from Daniel, and maybe someone else has to do something, but I know there has been some progress here. So Bertrand, tell us.
Okay, so I tried to do the import using a script that exists that is in Python. That script works mostly. I had to fix a few things with it, but it hits limitations, write limitations on GitHub pretty fast. So it has to retry the same issues over and over again. And in the end, importing our 5,000 bugs would take days. So Sébastien has contacted GitHub, or people at GitHub. I've tried also on my end, but they never answered for some reason.
I have a Microsoft.com email. Maybe it helps. You know, I understand.
Sad, but true. Yeah, I'm nobody. So they told us about a new API that they are creating that doesn't have those rate limitations. And I haven't had time to try that yet, but it means that I will have to modify the GitHub library. So I don't like that, but apparently it's the only way we're going to make that working. So sometime this week, I will do that. But the problem is that this is a vacation week here, and I have the kids at home, and it makes everything slower.
Can they help?
Unfortunately, my older daughter doesn't like programming very much, and my younger daughter is probably a little young. So.
Don't you have any parental influence on them? Like, can't you force them?
They are 11 and 7, so no.
My kid doesn't want to do his homework, but he does.
Yeah, actually.
Bertrand, someone's mentioning on the chat, if the work you're doing is open source, can they help?
It is open source.
So there is something
thanks for offering.
There is something that could be done by someone very. So if we need to split the work, you mentioned that the script was crawling Codeplex and it was true every time. Maybe we should.
Yeah, that works.
Yeah, maybe
that works fine.
Okay, it's not an issue. Like doing one main export and we have the files locally, and then we will be faster. We can run it as many times as well without crawling. That could be an idea.
That's already the case. It scans the Codeplex site only once, and then it creates a MySQL database locally, and then it uses that to hit GitHub. But the problem is entirely on the GitHub side.
Okay, so we need to change the calls to the new GitHub API.
Yeah. So yeah, I can share what I've done already, but it's in Python, so it needs someone who's experimented in Python. But yeah, I can share the fork that I'm working on. Sure. So if you want to help, and you can help, just contact me by email and we coordinate. My email is bertrandleroy@gmail.com. So.
Can you give us your fork, just we can look at it?
Not yet, because it doesn't exist yet.
Okay.
But yeah, I will.
So this, so I did that. I contacted support, and what did I do also? I imported all the source code to GitHub to try, and it's beautiful. This OrchardCMS in this repository just to try, and it was the most easy thing to do. Crazy. First, I wanted to use Git to pull and push on this thing. it was easier than that, actually. So, and you see all the branches are here and the ones. All the commits are here, and from what is nice is, look at it. I go to, so the default branch is master, okay? So people think, oh, I haven't updated master for a year. But if you look at 1.x, for instance, look at what is interesting. Daniel Stott, you see, and this guy, you see his picture, and you can even see that, interesting, it used to be a link. It used to be a link, but this guy, no, it was interesting for Daniel because his name is different in GitHub and in Codeplex, and yet it assigned the commit to him. So GitHub was clever enough to use the email and to link users. I thought it was a case.
I think it's going to work. Sorry, I think it's going to work if you add your email address you use on Codeplex to your GitHub as an alias or something like that.
Yeah.
Because my profile is linked there actually, but the usernames are different.
Okay. And you see it's also
about usernames. Should we mention again that we have a spreadsheet that tries to gather all the username mappings? So if you haven't given your, that's not the URL.
That's
okay, I'll give. No, it's on OneDrive.
Oh, this one. Copy link and paste it in chat, which is here. Boom.
So if you haven't already put your name in there, please do. That will help, in better quality issues on the other end. And I actually, another thing that I didn't mention about Codeplex to GitHub is that there are 2 known cases of people who have an alias on GitHub that corresponds to somebody else's alias on Codeplex. So this is why this is important. We don't want to spam other people.
Yeah, and the issue with the API that you mentioned also was that it was sending emails to everyone, and the new one doesn't do that.
The new one doesn't. Yeah.
Okay, and so I was mentioning that, and you see, you even see the difference between the committer and the author of the commit. Interesting. Beautiful. You see the caveman, Keegan. It's beautiful. So the import is very simple and takes 5 minutes. So once we are done with the work items, the official switch will be done using the import to the main Orchard website. And to do that, there is a page. I found it using Google. Well, a Google search showed me this page, which is GitHub import. You just provide a Git repository of from another hoster, and it will import everything. It was in 5 minutes, beautiful. So this will be the easy part. Okay, so this is on my side. That's Sébastien and validated source code importation. Import. Daniel has done something too. Daniel, I will click for you.
Okay, so what I did was into that same repository that Sébastien did the code migration to, I decided to try and migrate all of our documentation into a GitHub Wiki on that repository. And I think it turned out pretty well. So everything, it was just, so the way it works is the wiki for a repository is backed by another Git repository, which is the same name, in this case, orchardtest.wiki. So you can clone it to your local and edit it there, or there's the option to doing inline editing sort of online in the wiki itself, as Sébastien is doing now. And I think it has certain advantages to use this wiki feature for our documentation. One is that I think the rendering of MarkDown to HTML and the presentation, the styling of it is much, much better than what we have on our custom website. Another one is that it has pretty good support for syntax highlighting of code sections. So I tried a couple of those. Sébastien, if you could type in at the top in the sidebar, find a page, that text box. There, if you could type in accessing and rendering shapes. So if you scroll down here a bit there's a section here with some XML in it, or C#. Oh, there it is actually. So for this one, I turned on syntax highlighting for C#, and it's very easy to do. You just you mark you do the code sections with 3 backticks, and then just a code for the language that you intend for it to highlight. I tried it for C# and some XML, and it had support for a lot of different languages. Yeah, you can see it a bit down here. There. Yep, that's how you do it. And another nice thing about it is it supports GitHub flavored Markdown, so it is a bit richer in functionality than just standard Markdown. I think generally also just the discoverability of the documentation is a bit easier maybe here. If you find the code, then the documentation is right there, and it's where most people would expect it to be if they find a GitHub repository. Most people turn to the wiki.
So when we decided to use GitHub for the documentation, it was to be able to use a Git repository. It was very nice. We currently have a web app which dynamically converts a Markdown file to a web page. So this is why you were able to migrate everything to Wiki, just copy pasting the migrant files we had on the previous Git repository.
Yep.
You mentioned to me offline a bunch of advantages of using the Wiki compared to the current solution. So you mentioned them. So the fact that the devs will find it with the code and with the work items directly.
Yeah, discoverability. And the styling and rendering.
Styling and the advantage we have on having it. So I assume that we had the current solution because we were not on GitHub, and thus we could not use the wiki. I think this was the only reason why we did that. Is it? Does anyone don't like the?
What's the last one you said?
You mean the advantage of using the wiki instead of
the last one? I didn't catch the last one.
So what I said I was actually doing the opposite and saying why trying to understand why we used GitHub as a web app. And I think that it was because at that time we were not on GitHub. So we wanted to use Git to store our documentation, and on GitHub to make it a collaborative effort. But we wanted to host it on our website and not on a separate wiki on GitHub.
Yeah, so I'm the one who built the documentation site at the time, so I know why I did it. At the time, wikis were wikis sucked, basically. They tended to use their own markup language, and they were all different, and the learning curve was not nice. The tools were clunky, etc., etc. The GitHub wikis are actually light years away from that, and they're very nice. They use Markdown, so we wanted to use Markdown. We wanted to have a revision history through a repository instead of through a custom wiki. So all of those problems are also solved with GitHub wikis. So I don't see any strong reasons why we would keep the current system, except that we can make it look exactly the way we want, which is nice. It's well integrated into the existing site, but I think we can live without that. What else?
I think it's less maintenance also for us.
Is it? So is the wiki actually a repository? It is, right?
Yeah. It's a Git repository with the same name as the main repo, but suffixed with .wiki.
Absolutely.
And can we do request to the wiki?
Yeah, exactly. That was my next question. Do we handle updates like we do today with pull requests, or is it a slightly different mechanism?
I'm not sure. I haven't seen anywhere where you can manage pull requests for a wiki repository.
Can someone try to do it?
Yeah, it's important that anyone can actually edit with as little friction as possible. And for the moment, they only have to have a GitHub account. That's it.
Yeah.
And they can just click edit on the page and put a little comment explaining what they did, hit submit, and it's done.
Yeah.
Another thing that I would like to see
that becomes a commit in the backing Git repo, so you can see that in the history.
Yeah.
So can someone try to click on edit on the wiki just to see what happens and tell us what it does? Because I have the rights to edit this wiki, so I'm not a good guinea pig. The other solution we could use could be to use the GitHub pages, because they're also baked by a GitHub repository. They also create a website. It's still markdown. I don't know.
And you can style it, right?
Yes.
But is it really based on markdown, the pages?
It is.
But
it's a slightly modified version of Markdown where you can actually have a header that has the title, and some metadata.
Mm-hmm.
So there is a YAML header, a separator, and then the Markdown, which is actually better than what we have today, because today we're extracting the title from the file name, which is the question that I had was one thing that sucks today is the table of contents. It's basically something that we have to manage by hand, and that's not great. Is there a way you can manage table of contents more automatically?
So what I found is, can you go back to the wiki, Sébastien? To the right here, there's just a flat list of all of the pages that it finds. That's in the sidebar now, and it's nice because you can search it, but it's not hierarchical, and you can't structure it into sections and subsections and so forth. So if you want to do that, you can add a custom sidebar below the standard one. If you scroll down a bit, there's an area where you can add a custom sidebar, and in that one you can put some script. For example, that would I've seen people do like auto-generated table of contents for the current page, all of the headings that it finds on the page, for example. But I don't think that there's a way to automate like creating a hierarchical table of contents for the whole wiki. I haven't seen that. So what you get is the flat one.
Oh, so people have scripts that generate a local table of content for the current document.
Excuse me, again?
So people have built scripts that make custom sidebars that are tables of contents for the current document?
Yes, exactly.
Okay. Which is something that we do have on the current site, by the way.
Yep.
But okay. But it's what kind of script is it? Client-side script?
Yeah, exactly. Just
okay. So that's
piece of JavaScript.
Yeah. Cool. Okay.
So Gustavo edited the homepage.
And he was able to do it without validation on our part?
Ask him. Interesting. Correct. No validation.
Okay. Yeah.
What is that?
That's one of the things that we had with the previous wiki, which is that we had tons of spam because the barrier to entry was actually way too low.
That's weird. Anyone can edit a wiki?
Yeah, that's not good.
Really? I bet that must be
I hope
that
we
you
can
change.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wait. Settings, restrict edits to collaborators only.
That's also not what we want to do.
Yes, that's too protected or not enough protected.
So what we want is for anyone to be able to make changes, but we want to approve them. Is that what we want?
Yeah, like today.
Pull request, yeah.
Yeah, we want them to be pull requests.
So with the GitHub pages, maybe it will work. I assume it will work.
We can give it a try.
Yes.
So. Yeah, but let's not create a completely new static website for Orchard. So wikis would be great.
Oh, you can use
pages.
Well, yes, but you can have docs.orchard.project.net if you want.
Yeah, but still you would have a separate website barred by GitHub pages. So I don't like the experience here, because Wiki is great because it's aside the source inside GitHub, but now we would have a third form of information source.
Interesting question. Yeah, so maybe then the current solution is the best one. We should try it. But as long as it's open or closed, that's not a good solution.
There's another one up there: restrict editing to users in teams with push access only. That's the same thing as collaborators.
Same thing, yeah. We need to give them access to the source code then. And pull requests are nice because we can comment, we can do it we can do it locally and over 1 week if we want, and then push it. So
yeah, there's a review process.
Yeah, that's why at least GitHub pages in this case is better, but Zoltan mentioning that it's not good.
So, but I didn't understand your point though, Zoltan. Why is it not good? Because it's a separate source, you say?
No, with GitHub pages, we would have a separate website, not just from the user interface point of view, but also from the source point of view, exactly. So now we have a separate documentation site, and that's not very good either from this standpoint, but it blends with the current Orchard project website.
No, yes and no. It's a different website. It just has the same theme. That's what I'm saying. Yeah. With GitHub pages, you can have the same thing.
Yeah, we could do the same thing.
Exactly. You can customize the theme and you can customize the URL. So I don't see the difference between GitHub pages and the current solution we have.
Oh, so it would look the same?
Yes. Because GitHub pages, you define the theme and how to render each page. Today, this is what we do. This is a different website than the OrchardProject.net website. As in Azure websites, it's a different website. It just has the same theme and the same URLs here. And I'm sure that maybe they are not synchronized. Let me check. They are not synchronized, you see. There is About Us and Discussion and Help. And here, they are, sorry. No, it's not the same. You see, Localization Gallery. This proves that it's a different website.
Yeah, it's clear this part. I was just curious about the theming, but now you answered. Anyway, I don't think this is a good solution what we have here either, specifically because of the different source. And Wiki would be better.
No, but the Wiki is bad here. This is a no-go.
Are we completely sure that there is no option for it?
It's either blocked to approved users, so there is no collaboration, there is no open sourcing. Or it's either open to everyone and spammers. So,
unless we restrict it, in which case you feel it's too restricted.
This sounds insane. Has GitHub really not thought about this?
Piotr, your sound is very low. That's why everyone cuts you.
It's especially silly as they have everything to do it. I mean, why didn't they handle that as pull requests? It's so easy. I don't get it.
Yes,
yeah.
So yeah, I think unless we can set that level of permission, it's actually a downgrade. I mean, sure, there is the syntax highlighting, but
but you really need to add access to the main wiki repo to everyone. Could we just set up a fork when everyone adds an ordinary Git repo when everyone can issue pull requests, and then only the collaborators would be able to just push to the main something.wiki repo, because we can fork it, right? And give access to this fork to all other people?
I don't know if you can fork only the wiki repository. I think you would be forking.
It's a Git. Yeah, it's a Git repo. No?
Yeah, but there's no place where you can sort of manage it as a
and
repo.
then someone will have to clone the main other repo to the main wiki to push the changes. So it's manual. So right now it's all automatic.
Yeah,
but that will be worse still. I prefer the current solution, and optionally the GitHub pages if we don't want to host it ourselves. And to also I'm
wondering though, why are our as an open source project, why are our requirements so unique? Because GitHub wikis seem to work fine for many many open source projects out there. Why do we need this review process when
they
everybody else seems to...
just close the documentation, and we can't close the documentation because we just get documentation from contributors. And look
contributors
at
that are not developers on the...
Yeah, give me...
Most projects are smaller, and
yes.
And the large projects actually have their own documentation systems, most of them. If you look if you go look at Drupal, if you go look at ASP.NET even, find a large project that's using GitHub wikis. I don't think you'll find many.
What does ASP.NET Home use? No, ASP.NET Home. If you go github.com/ASP.NET, ASP.NET.
Well, they don't have documentation there. It's just on this website.
No, the documentation for ASP.NET 5 on GitHub. ASP.NET, and then go /home.
They're actually trying to figure out right now how they're going to manage the documentation, as far as I know. Sébastien probably knows more. They've probably made a decision now. But, last I heard, they were evaluating tools.
So they use this wiki, but they own their documentation. They don't make it.
No, they have pull requests. If you go back, you can see pull requests on this from external people.
On 10 revision, internal. What?
Yeah, but this go to home and click on pull requests.
Yes, but on the pull request, not on the documentation. Where are the pull requests?
On the right.
Yes, on the code, not on the wiki.
No, this is a pull request. This is just a documentation repo.
Where?
Oh, maybe that's okay. No, maybe it's just so they store the documentation as the repo. Okay, I'm just.
This is a repository with examples.
Yeah. Okay.
Examples. And the wiki, it's completely owned by internal people, the contributors.
Okay. Cool.
Raj, Elon, Dan, even Fowler writes documentation. Believe it. Yep. See, just internal guys. Well. What is that? It's the wiki, but this is the thing you explain, Daniel. But when I click here, it's pointing to home blob master contributing MG.
That's actually not the thing I explained. This is the custom hard.
Oh, this is custom
hard-coded.
Okay.
Yeah.
They pointed to an actual file.
This is like what we have on our homepage.
Yeah. So it was by chance I click on the link. Okay.
Yeah.
And you see, I can break everything.
Yeah.
Anyone? No, seriously, anyone can.
You can delete it too.
Nope. Close it. And the official documentation is on pages, articles on this website, which is baked by Umbraco. See, they create articles and they are shown like this.
All right, so it seems we can conclude that wikis are insufficient for our needs. I'll do some experimentation on pages and see what that yields, and we can discuss that next week.
Okay.
Well, another option would be to actually build a kind of wiki system with a repo that we something like what we have today. And there is, I think, a module that pulls from a GitHub repository MarkDown pages and displays them as Orchard content items.
You mean the
Okay,
next edition?
How is that different from what we have?
Yes. And how is that better?
Because it wouldn't be a separate web app. We would use a single Orchard application, and it would be
cares? Yes, who cares?
So what? Yeah, we don't care about that.
It's fun.
Philosophical issue. Use the best tool for the job. It will also answer the questions from Derek. Are we saying our own CMS product isn't good enough for its own documentation? Yes, we are saying it. Orchard is not good enough for what we want to do for managing collaborative documentation. I agree.
Well, and yes, you actually would have.
It's not collaborative like Git. Git is good for that. And for this website, for instance, this website is an Orchard website. Okay, everything is Orchard, the blog, the fact, everything. But the projects list here, it's baked by GitHub. So if you open the content item here, it's actually a GitHub Markdown page, which is converted into a content item using a background task. Okay? So because they prefer to edit this content item in GitHub for their reasons. So apparently what you just mentioned.
Hey, Sébastien, maybe it would be a good idea to just drop an email to the guys from GitHub if they already responded to you that maybe,
to do what?
There are some, maybe hidden tricks or something, or maybe plans for the wiki, for the permissions on the wiki.
Oh, GitHub! I thought you were mentioning that. Well,
no, I'm speaking about GitHub. Yeah.
No, and yet, but we won't wait for them to release anything in the next month. Yeah. So when they ship something, when we might go back to the wiki, but they won't give us a special wiki for us right now. So we just have to wait.
But maybe there is some workaround, or maybe they know something we don't. So it might be worth just dropping them an email.
I think people have wanted wikis for a long time. I don't see them introducing one. Not wikis. The kind of thing that you're asking for. I think people have asked for it for a while. I don't see them introducing it anytime soon.
Bootstrap is not using wikis, correct? Is it using wikis? No, it's not using wikis. The Bootstrap is yes, it's get Bootstrap baked by a GitHub repository.
Yeah, it's basically what we do today.
All right. I just reacting to a link from Keegan. GitHub Pages. It's a GitHub Pages. Okay, get Bootstrap is GitHub Pages. I'm just catching up on the chat. Read the docs. Oh yeah. This is an experiment from. Actually, this is funny because Dan from the MVC team asked me about this website. I've talked with him about it, and read the docs. It's a separate website to manage documentation, and you can build your own repository and using MarkDown. So this is an example. Read the docs. But it's not that better than what we have also today already. And I think even Entity-Framework wanted to do that using website and GitHub Pages. Where is this here? Yes. GitHub.com, the SPL docs. What is that? Oh, posted by Read the Docs. Okay. This is it. Same thing. many solutions. Don't we want non-coders to use Orchard? Why would we expect them to figure out pull requests and such to contribute to documentation? Don't we want non-coders to use Orchard? So Rob, you are mentioning we are placing the level too high for people to create documentation because it will be pull requests?
Yeah, they don't have to understand that it's a pull
So
request. If you look at how it's done today, you click edit, and then you have a submit button. You don't even have to know that it's a pull request.
This is very simple.
Yeah, it's very simple to explain.
OrchardCMS / OrchardDoc.
And we should have documentation on how to edit the documentation, I think.
Yeah, but by the way, you actually have to submit a pull request here if you are not a.
Let me see. Let me show you how it works.
Yeah, but you are one of the administrators of the repository. I've edited the documentation a few times this year, and you have to submit a pull request. So you edit it, save it, and then there is a separate step involved.
So then let me show you on another repository /Biroy.
Do you have to fork it first, Zoltan?
No. Look at that.
No.
Look at that. It can't be simpler. Let me change something on this CMS. I will go to the README. Yeah. I want to edit the README. You see, I see it live. Okay. I want to edit it. I don't have the rights to that. I want to edit.
Or you can go to the docs. The docs folder is in there.
I don't care. README. Edit. Yeah. Here, I can preview my changes. I can edit the file. No forking, nothing. This project sucks.
They create a fork for you.
For you. You go down and you say, better explanation, propose file change.
It doesn't even say pull request. It's not.
Yes. Yeah. Now it does create pull request. Yeah.
Create pull request. See, and this way it created a fork for me. It created the commit, and I just wait for that.
That's nice.
And everything inline. So, and this is also why I like it for our source code in GitHub, because people will be able to provide fixes without having to fork, create pull requests using the old Codeplex way. It's all integrated in the editor.
Yep.
And you just have to wait for that. And for us, we just say, okay, approve or comment. So you can delete it, Bertrand, sorry.
Yeah, let me take care of that pull request.
So, yeah. Okay, well, I think we are good here. Migrate the documentation to it.
Yeah. As for the other thing I promised to do, the Discourse, I'm still waiting for the VM credentials.
Yes, correct. I will. Good. Status.
Thanks for investigating that.
Yeah, my pleasure.
Status. Now I can remove you from the contributors, actually. Status, Sipke worked like crazy. So this is where we ended last week. Pliable decoding from... and he fixed a bunch of bugs that we opened on Thursday and before also. Okay, URL decodes, 1.x, what is that? Lombic. Yes, we approved it and it was fixed. Piotr, on which branch? 1910, int email fixed duplicate address in my message to field.
It was an obvious issue. There was this for each was there twice.
This one, 21, fix email settings test. Checked, okay, makes sense. Null check. Where? Decision activity, okay. Oh yes, I saw it. It was based on dynamic forms. It will not handle the case when there is no content item, actually. Okay. We triaged it on Thursday. This one also triaged on Thursday. This one is huge. Fixed test element HTML filter issue.
Yeah, there's a lot of file changes because of something that I renamed. So it seems used, but it's not a really. It's not a big impact.
And what is that?
That's something that we should add to the
demo?
That's one thing. Yeah, it's a demo. And there's another thing that I wanted to talk about quickly. It's one of my co-workers, Kees Damen. He's here today at the meeting as well. He came with an interesting Kees, K-E-E-S, Kees.
Oh, Kees.
Yeah, he works at the Ministry of Health, Welfare, and Sports. It's where I work on a project. He's the software architect over there, and he came with an interesting suggestion.
It's Kees Damen. It's not the same Kees.
No, this is I think it's the first time he's here attending the meeting. And he came with an interesting suggestion, and it brings down the build output during development by, I think, what was it? Down from 2 gigabytes to 500 megabytes or so, using a very simple technique by removing the dependencies or changing the references, project references to Orchard.Framework and Orchard.Core. Setting build copy. What was it? Copy to local setting to false. If you set it to false, then the build output decreases dramatically. Kees, maybe you can add something to that.
Add what? I didn't get the ask or. So he's doing something good.
Yeah, Kees, can you explain?
There?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, we use Orchard in a lot of projects at the ministry currently, and we have a build server which I see take quite a lot of time because the storage device is a bit slow. Because the build produces about 2 gigabytes of intermediate files while building, and in the end it will be optimized back to about 80 megabytes. But I wanted to search the root cause for this, and it's because the dependencies of the Orchard.Framework project are being copied into every module's project output. And it can be easily resolved by changing the CopyLocal setting for the dependency inside the solution for those modules.
Does that affect dynamic compilation?
That's a good one.
Because
nope, it won't.
No.
Okay.
If you just provide it on the Orchard framework and the core, that's fine because they will be in the bin.
That will be copied to the dependencies folder. Yeah.
Yeah. If you do the precompiled build, which is shipped with Orchard as well, it will also eliminate all those files from the bin folders in the modules. So
well, the precompiler already does that, and indirectly it explicitly deletes them. That's different. Yes. So the precompiler will not have to do it anymore.
Yeah, exactly. That when you execute the build script using the precompiled flag, then that's what it does after. So what Kees is doing, that will, you don't have to do that step anymore. And also during development, it's just faster, less file I/O.
So where is the pull request?
It's pending.
Okay. Don't worry, it will be deleted if it's non-complex. You can do it on No, but that's true. No, seriously.
We're migrating from complex to...
seriously, one of the drawbacks also that we'll have to do is when we do the switch to GitHub, we'll close all the pull requests and ask people to recreate them on GitHub. And that's not funny, Nick.
We should probably do a triage of some of them first, though.
Yes. Oh, okay. Task. Tasks. Nick. Ours in GitHub from Codeplex. That will be your job. Recreate all the pieces from Codeplex to GitHub. Okay, demo, Sipke?
Yeah, thanks, Kees. Demo, let me share the screen. Share. A screen is good, thank you. Share.
I could not help myself. I looked at the commits just to see what it was about.
Can you guess? Do you know what it's about? Do you know what it's about?
Well, look at the commit messages and you get it.
Yeah, so it's about blending layouts, zones, and widgets. And let me explain that a little bit. Daniel and I have been working on a way where you can still create layouts as you can do today with the 19int branch.
7 minutes.
That should be enough. Or not. Well, there's a limitation where sometimes you either have zones defined in your layout CSS_HTML file, and it's, for example, a site first, a site second, etc. And then you have layouts, and sometimes you want to have a site defined using layouts, but you also want to render a widget there, which today is not possible. But with these changes, it's easy, and I'll just do a quick demo. For example, here I have an Orchard website, the default homepage. This is all layout, so these are 3 columns in a grid here. Like so. But what you can do now, there's a new property on the column, which you can provide it with a zone name. So this is a way to introduce new zones. For example, first, before I show that, I should mention that I created a new theme based on the theme machine, and I removed all of the triple, first, second, etc. zones, so that currently it looks like this. So sorry, widgets here. So this is the new set of zones defined by the theme. So there's no triple first, there's no quad first, etc. That's all to be defined by the layouts. But if I wanted to add a widget to this zone here, triple third, I can just call it triple third. Can save that. And now if we go to this view here, as you can see, there's theme zones and there's layout zones. So now there's a triple third zone to which you can add widgets. For example, an HTML widget. So now if we refresh this page, we'll see this widget in this thing here. So that adds much more flexibility to layouts and using widgets. What we also did is I added another property called Collapsible, which is also on the column. And what that does is when there's no content in this column, it will collapse. And what it will do is the first sibling, it will take up that space. So in this case, when we mark this as collapsible, the second column here will take up this space here. So if we remove this piece of content and mark this column as collapsible, it's safe. Refresh the home page. We'll see that the second leader side is now taking up the full those 2 columns, as if it were a single column with span 6 or so. No, 8, of course. So that's the collapsible. So that's what we did as well. We implemented some rules, so you can't use if a zone name is already used by the theme, you can't use that. So there's validation there. because obviously that would be weird if you have a zone defined in your layout CSHTML file and then it will be rendered in a fixed place. We don't want to see widgets in any other place then. And of course, you can still use the layout, so you can create layout templates, define your entire layout there, configure them to be zones, and reuse that. And
typically, that's where you would define your zone columns rather than on individual layouts.
Yeah, which I did here on this homepage for this demo. I just changed the zone name here, but typically you would do that on the layout templates. And right now the UI looks like this, where we simply list the zones. But in a future update, we are considering to let the user choose one of those layouts that have zones, and then you will see a visual representation of that layout into which you can then add widgets and move them around, which we discussed a while ago.
On your layout view, did you have the ability that if you had a layout zone already created, do you have the ability to just add something straight to it? So like in here, if you hover over, if you go and add something to a layout zone.
No, you wouldn't. If you have for example, a master Fates layout with some grid here, like this, create a new page based on that layout, you wouldn't be able to change this master here. You can just add stuff to these two columns, but you wouldn't be able to change the master in place.
No, but I mean, if you drop a piece of content onto one of those areas and then you assign it a layout zone. Layout zone.
Okay, yeah.
Is there a drop down to see all the current layout zones?
No, that's free text. Because you should be able to create new zones on the fly, and that would require some more advanced UI where you can maybe some sort of autocomplete. That of course could be done. So you can actually might not be a bad idea. So that you can, if you do create a new layout and you want to reuse a zone name, you would see the existing ones. Maybe. Did you want to add something?
But there's no separate definition of these zones. They basically only exist by virtue of being named on a column in some layout or layout template.
Yeah, exactly. So that would mean to present the user with existing zones, we would harvest those zones from the layouts as we are doing here in the widgets view. What we're doing here with just loading all content items that have the layout part attached and see if any of its column elements have a zone name property defined or specified. And that, of course, that list is cached, so it's optimized.
The main problem that we're trying to solve here is being able to use layer rules and layers even for stuff that is within a layout. Because right now, as it stands today, there's kind of a hard line between the content that you host in a layout and the stuff that you can place in theme zones outside of the layout.
So why don't you just create an element which is ruled element, which is a container, and just show up if the rule is true?
Sorry, what is that? What element is that? With a rule, did you say that?
In your master, for instance, you could have a conditional element, which is a container. You grab some text in that, but the conditional element, you can create a rule, and it will just show up if the rule is true.
Yeah, a container with a rule. Yeah.
So that you don't have to mix up the widgets and that then.
Because that's true.
My initial idea.
But the other advantage of this is that it's compatible with the existing widget system. So any other modules that or
I had already discussed that with Sipke when we designed the module last year. We had already designed the ideal way to reuse layouts, widgets, and layers.
That is by going element first, right? Where widgets.
And for instance, first the steps. But we agreed last year, and it was just two guys, and and but Daniel wasn't in the discussion. Was first to have the layout the current editor you have in the widget page, so you can organize the widgets, drag and drop, move and around, just the editor, okay? And it makes sense. Then another way, another step will be then to have a layer part that you can attach to any content type, like the page, and it will be another section than the layout part that you have. But the layer part will let you place content on the main layout, not the page layout, but the theme layout, contextually to this content item. So you will drag and drop elements into the theme layout from your content item. It will be that's why it will be called layer part. So this the layer at the page level, at the URL level for this content item, and you can drag and drop stuff in these columns. So, and again, independent from widgets, just layers. Well, we can talk about it offline and try to find some consensus.
Yeah, we should do that.
So I'm not sure I'm following, but are you saying
we need to talk?
Yeah, but does that contradict this improvement?
No, but for me it was the natural evolution of those features. Mm-hmm. Because here, when Sipke added the zone name to the row or to the element, I was lost, and I know Orchard, and I'm like, okay, I got the widgets layers, and I got the page layout, and now it's mixed, and I'm like, okay.
Yeah, I think this is an intermediary step, because ultimately we wouldn't have that mixed world. We would just have elements first, and
because again, you are going into the widgets to edit to change the content of a specific page. That's weird.
No, that's not what we're doing. We're defining. Typically, you would define these layout zones on a template that is used across many pages. So it has nothing to do with this specific page. It's just a zone that's defined by one layout template.
So this is why you said it works if we create a condition element, which will, like you put it on the master page, a condition element which has the rule itself, and you don't need to go to the widgets page to define it and to create a new layer. It's the master contains the layer.
Mm. Yeah, that's actually a good solution that we did consider. I think adding rules to the elements themselves.
Yeah, and if we do have that, because the only thing this currently adds is that you can add a widget to a column. But if we go element first, that could be turned into a widget if we wanted to. But then we wouldn't need this blending anymore, because we would have everything would be.
Personally, I would prefer this solution, and it's also in terms of code-wise, it's also, I think, simpler because it's just an element for you that can be reused with anywhere in a page, or in a page doesn't make sense. Well, you could say page is the first layer, and second, if you have the condition, then and the user is named foo or is authenticated. So, or it could be also in a master, and then you don't have to change the widget's behavior.
Could even be a token.
Just saying. Okay. We'll talk about it, about my user suggestion on Skype, and you'll see if it makes sense or not.
Sure. Okay. Thanks.
Okay, good. Thank you. Good job. This will be the conclusion of the meeting. 1:06 already. Share indeed. Okay,
Sébastien,
thanks everyone.
Did that guy get back to you?
Yep. Sorry?
Oh. Did that guy get back to you?
Yes.
You guys, quick question before we go. Where should we contribute bug fixes? CodePlex doesn't seem to be working. Is there a way to alert people when we have pull requests?
Right now we are stuck. Yeah, Codeplex doesn't seem to work. I haven't had any update since Friday on my mailbox from issues and everything. So right now we are stuck.
Okay.
I have to wait for GitHub. The issue is that we could create the repository right now on GitHub, and you could create, but with the import, I'm sure it will be compatible, but it's risky. If we need to reset all the issues because the import went bad, then we will lose all your attempts and you will be angry. So
we should just hold it for now?
Yes, I think so.
Okay. My second question is, any idea on the dates and location for harvest? Because it's getting, for those of us in the US, it's getting kind of close, and airplane tickets to Europe are already very expensive. So I want to know if we're still aiming for the beginning of June, if London is still a possibility. I'm also supposed to be in Europe around that time, so I'm trying to avoid trips to Europe.
Oh, sorry.
So my personal issues that I'm trying to resolve.
So it's getting close. So there are two possibilities. We can cancel it, or we can postpone it to after the summer to have more time.
Do you see yourself getting more time to focus on that a little later on, Sébastien?
I definitely have more time than 2 weeks ago. But yeah, I'm not sure I have the time to organize a conference completely, and in the small window we have right now, because it's April.
Are we committed to doing it in Europe this year?
We have to do it in Europe, yes.
Okay.
Unless we can't, because there is no help and it's too complex, because the organizers will be in the US. Or because of cost, maybe, I don't know, for different reasons.
Tentatively, it looks like it's all we have it.
Yeah, and I think we need to take into account also is that in terms of costs, it will always be cheaper to host it on the Microsoft campus in Redmond, if we need to do that as a backup. But I want to do it in Europe. So I don't decide. I think personally it's a better option to do it in Europe.
Going to Europe. Okay, I have Chris Payne sitting next to me, and he's all for coming here. So, okay, I just wanted to know if we had made any decisions. Maybe Sébastien, we can talk about it offline. Maybe I might have some cycles this summer, but I'm not sure yet. So maybe we can talk about thoughts later on.
Okay. Thanks. Yeah, and like George mentioning, Nick, Sipke, Daniel, if you want to talk offline, I'm always available on Skype. Now, again, I'm on Skype sometimes now. You can ping me.
Are you available right now or later?
No, I want to go to lunch before too. Sorry.
Okay. Later then.
So far, my reply rate from you, Sébastien, is about...
Yeah, and I have news, but we'll talk offline about it. What? Why are you smiling, Daniel? I can recognize your smile. Okay. Have a good night, everyone in Europe. Have a good day, everyone in the US.
Thank you.
That covers everyone.
Thursday.
See you on Thursday.
Thanks. See you later.
Bye-bye, guys.
Bye, everyone.